to Unit 2, Section 2 of Principles and Practice of Procurement. The second section is going to talk about inventory management. By the end of this section, we should be able to define inventory and inventory management, provide reasons for keeping inventory, identify the classifications of inventory, explain the scope of inventory management, and mention some of the aims of inventory management. What is inventory and inventory management? Inventory is the entire stock of a business, which includes raw materials, work in progress, maintenance, repairs and operation supplies, and finished goods that are ready or will be ready for sale. Inventory basically is stock. Whatever stock, whatever material, whatever we have in store or in the organization that we use to get the finished output or finished product to the customers ready. It can be machines, it can be our raw materials, it can be our semi-finished goods as a work in progress. It can be the finished goods itself that are taken to the customers. Any stock at all that we have in our organization, that's what we refer to as inventory. Now, inventory management refers to the process of ordering, storing, and using a company's inventory, that's the raw materials, components, and finished goods. Or inventory is the tracking of inventory from manufacturers to warehouses or to our retailers, and from all these facilities to the point of sale. With inventory management, the organization is able to understand its stock mix, the different stock it has in the organization at a particular time, and the different demand of that particular stock or each stock in the organization. One benefit of inventory management is that once an organization is able to identify its stock mix or the stock it has available, the organization is able to identify which stock and how much of that stock to order and at what time. With inventory management, you're able to track all your stock. So you're able to know, okay, this is what I have right now. This is the reorder level of this particular stock. So if the stock is at this level, then I have to start placing an order. Or because the stock is at this level, I have to place an order at this day, at this time, if I want to continue meeting my customers' demands. So inventory management is going to help you know the stock, how much stock you have at all times, and then what you need to do with each stock, how much, when you're supposed to order for each stock, what you're supposed to do so that at all points in time you're meeting your customers' demands, you're not running out of a particular stock. Now, there are some reasons why organizations keep inventory. We're going to briefly go through some of these reasons. The first reason is to reduce the risk of supplier failure or uncertainty. Some organizations keep stock because they can't deal with the risk that comes with suppliers not being able to meet your demand. So I know next week I'm going to need 5 A4 sheet rims. Instead of waiting for next week to place the order or to tell the supplier to deliver, I keep stock of those A4 sheet rims that I'm going to need this week. So that whatever happens next week, even if the supplier is around or not, whatever happens, I don't care. I already have those A4 sheet, the 5 A4 sheet rims in stock. This risk of supplier failure has been eliminated. Secondly, we have to protect against lead time uncertainties, such as where suppliers' replenishment and lead times are not known with certainty. Lead time is the time it takes to place the order till the time the order gets to the organization. So the time it takes for you to place the order to a supplier, till the time the order finally gets to you. That's what we refer to as lead time. So the period where the order is placed, so when the order is replenished, is not known. Then obviously there's a need to keep inventory. So for instance, I don't know when or how long it's going to take for a supplier to replenish this particular material. It could take a week, it could take a month, it could even take 2 months. I'm not certain the lead time. I'm not certain when the order is actually going to get to me. Then I don't wait till I run out of that particular material, that stock, before I place an order. Or I don't wait till I need the material before I place an order. In this case, I have to keep stock, I have to keep inventory. However, when you know with certainty that it's going to take, for instance, a week for a supplier to replenish a particular stock. Then obviously you make your calculation, you know the order quantity you need for a particular period that will be able to sustain you till that week. After that week where the order is replenished, you're able to make your calculations and know the level of inventory to keep, the level of inventory not to keep, because you know with certainty when the order is going to be replenished. But then in the case where you don't know with certain when an order is going to be replenished, then there's a need to keep an inventory, a safe stock, so that at all points in time you're able to meet your customers' demand. Another reason to keep inventory is to meet unexpected demands or demands for customization of products, as with agile production. Due to unforeseen circumstances that may happen, organizations keep inventory. So, for instance, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we realized most countries locked down, right? And then most organizations were also most of these organizations were working from home or had closed down due to this social distancing issue and all that. So if I'm an organization that gets my materials from a different place, or an organization which has locked down, or a different country which is on lockdown, and there is no way, like it's impossible to get your materials to cross border, it's impossible to get the materials to move to your operation, your production unit, then does that mean you also have to close, and does that mean you also have to stop producing? No. We are saying that once you have inventory in stock, once you're able to stock some of your materials, you don't need to necessarily end production at all points in time. No matter what happens, no matter the unforeseen circumstance that happens in your supply chain, you're able to keep on producing, you're able to meet your customers' needs and demands. This COVID-19 that passed, you realize most organizations collapsed because they were not able to meet their customers' demands. However, some organizations were able to actually gain more customers because they were able to serve their customers and even come up with innovative ideas for which they can use their already existing materials they had in stock. An example, we have Casapreco developing hand sanitizers with their alcohol. So now even people that don't consume alcohol are customers of Casapreco because we don't consume the alcohol, but we consume the sanitizers. Now we realize that Casapreco has actually expanded their customer base. Whereas actual companies that produce sanitizers collapsed because they didn't have enough materials in stock to keep on producing these sanitizers when there was high demand for sanitizers. Some of these reasons and many more are the reasons why organizations keep inventory. Classifications of inventory. So from the definition of inventory earlier, we realize we have different classes of inventory. We have the raw materials, the sub-assemblies or components, we have the consumables, we have the finished goods. The raw materials are materials that has been unprocessed. It hasn't gone through any value addition stage, like it's just fresh. It's fresh materials that are waiting to be converted or for value to be added for it to be either moved to the finished goods or the semi-finished output, right? The second classification of inventory is the components and sub-assemblies to be incorporated into an end product. So sub-assemblies here are the parts that are going to be merged to form a component. So let's say spare parts of a car. So these spare parts are components. We're going to put these spare parts together to get a car. So when we put them together to get a car, that's when we have the components. So these sub-assemblies and components that have to be incorporated into the end product. And then third, we have the consumables. These consumables form insignificant parts of the component as they are all supplies in an undertaking classified as indirect and that do not form part of a sellable product and that may be subclassified into production, such as maintenance. So when we put the product there, we don't really identify these consumables. You can't see. They give an example to be maintenance. So let's just say when a car is here, we don't see the maintenance aspects. We don't see maintenance as part of the car. We only see the car. Whether the car has gone through maintenance or the car goes through maintenance or not, we don't really see it. So these consumables are the indirect inventory that's associated with the product. For instance, in making apple juice, the only thing you see is the apple juice, but I'm sure some documents were printed, some meetings were organized and all that, which required printed documents. You don't see the printed document when you see the apple juice. The printed document is not directly associated with the apple juice. However, those documents had to be printed before the apple juice would finally be produced. So those printed documents, those materials or inventory that we do not directly classify as part of the product. That's what we refer to as consumables. Then finally, we have the finished goods. These are the products manufactured for resale that are ready for dispatch. After all the value additions have been added to the raw materials, after all the raw material has gone through all these value addition processes, we finally have the finished goods, which is ready to be taken to the customers. Inventory management covers a wide variety of activities. One of such activities is demand management. Demand management is ensuring that required operational and maintenance supplies are available in the right quantities and at the right time. Basically meaning managing your demand to ensure that at all points in time, at the right time, the right quantity of inventory needed is available. Secondly, we are saying forecasting future demand requirements. As an inventory manager, you're supposed to be able to forecast future demand requirements. It's forecasting, the right forecasting that is going to help us know the right level of inventory to keep at all times. When you're able to efficiently forecast customers' demand, you're able to know what customers are going to demand for this period, and as such, this is what you're supposed to do at this time. Hence, forecasting future demand requirements is one key scope of inventory management. We have implementing lean inventory policies such as just-in-time contracts to minimize investment in inventory. Just in time is when goods are received from suppliers just in time as they are needed, or you only receive goods from suppliers only when the goods or the stock or material is needed. So with this kind of inventory management, you don't keep stock, you don't order in advance. You wait till you need the item, then you order for it. Or then you have your suppliers supply the items. A part of inventory management should be able to identify the materials that will be efficient in our production line when we use the just-in-time approach or just-in-time inventory management. It's not always we have to keep stock of every material. Remember, we are trying to maximize the use of our little resource, the little space we have to stock these materials. So the materials that we can actually order just in time, we have to utilize such policies to help reduce waste in our operations. Remember, keeping inventory comes with its own cost. So if you're able to take advantage of this just-in-time policies, then we're able to minimize waste in our production line, thereby cutting down costs, which will in the long run improve on our profits. Liaising with procurement to ensure that supplies are replenished in accordance with corporate and procurement policies. And finally, controlling the receipt, inspection, recording, location, and issue of supplies to users. Some of the aims of inventory management are to provide both internal and external customers with the required service levels in terms of quantity and order rate fill. So when we're able to manage our inventory at all points in time, we said we are able to know how much stock we have left, when we are supposed to order for stock, when the suppliers are able to replenish, when they are not able to, what we are supposed to do, the kind of strategies you're supposed to use. Do we need to use the just in time? Do we need to pre-order in stock? Once you know the specific strategy that is going to help a particular or that is suitable for a particular stock, then you're able to meet your customers' demand at all times. At all times, you're able to satisfy your customers. In this case, you're saying both internal and external customers. You're able to satisfy all their demands, all their needs. Secondly, to ascertain present and future requirements for all types of inventory to avoid overstocking while avoiding bottlenecks in production. Inventory management will enable us know for certain both our present requirements as well as our future requirements for all types of inventory so that we don't overstock or understock. Because if we know for certain this is the quantity we need today, this is the quantity we are going to need tomorrow, this is what you're supposed to do, definitely we are not neither going to overstock nor understock. Once we are able to know for certain what our future and then our present requirements are, definitely nothing is going to interrupt the flow of production. Nothing is going to stop us from meeting our customers' demand. Everything is going to go on smoothly. Thirdly, we are saying it keeps costs to a minimum by variety reduction, economical lot sizes, and analysis of costs in obtaining and carrying inventories. With inventory management, we are able to know the economical order quantity to order. Economic order quantity here, or the economical lot sizes here, is talking about the optimal quantity or the right quantity of inventory to order at a particular time. So in inventory management, we don't just wake up and then decide to order whatever we want at whatever quantity. Due to the management, some planning and calculation goes on here. At the end of the day, due to these management activities that has gone on, we are able to determine exactly what the economic order quantity is, at what level should we order for a particular inventory. That is going to help us minimize costs in our production unit. And because before you can establish your economic order quantity, you need to know your holding cost and your ordering cost. The holding cost being the cost it takes to keep inventory, to keep stock. So when you have stock, all the costs associated with keeping that stock before you finally get to use them or send them to the customers, all the costs associated with keeping the stock is the holding cost. And then all the costs associated with ordering the material, the stock. No, the material. That's what we term as the ordering cost. So we are saying with inventory management, you're able to determine your economic order quantity as well as determine the cost of ordering and then the cost of carrying or holding the inventory. Knowing all this will help keep costs to a minimum, consequently improving on our profits. Then finally, we provide upstream and downstream inventory visibility in the supply chain. Upstream actors are those actors in the supply chain in the early phases of production. So we say your suppliers, where you get raw materials from before they go to the operation units where value is added. All those actors from that point, we classify them as your upstream actors. And then the downstreamers, we have our wholesalers, retailers, customers. Those are the down of the supply chain, where after all the value additions, it moves through those processes to get the final product to our customers. Those down the stream, those are who we refer to as our downstream actors. So we are saying that at every point in time, with inventory management, you're able to know the products you have, the stock you have in place. So you're able to know this is the level of materials I have, the raw materials I have with my suppliers. This is the level of materials I have in my warehouse. This is the level of final products I have with my manufacturers and with my wholesalers and retailers. This is the level of this is at every point in time in your supply chain, able to know the level of inventory you have so that you know what to do. So by way of summary, we have defined inventory and inventory management. We also provided reasons for keeping inventory. We have also identified some classifications of inventory. This way we identified some of classifications to be finished goods, raw materials, components, sub-assemblies and assemblies, and components, And then we have the consumables. And then this was followed by an explanation of the scope of inventory management. We then ended by mentioning some of the aims of inventory management. Thank you.